The ability to run integrated simulations is the most exciting development we've undertaken this decade. Frankly, many of the benefits of integration were not foreseen, particularly the step change in project governance and a KPI to drive proactive management. Hi, my name is Gavin Halling, founder of Risk Tools. Initially, the results from Risk Valuer and Estimate Manager, as explained in stages 2 and 3, were summed to derive a budget. This result was conservative. What was needed was the ability to run one simulation across both models. But why stop there? Why not integrate across all 3 toolsets to derive a single value for a project? And then again, why stop at a single project? The result was Uncertain Cost Manager, which brings the 3 founding toolsets under one umbrella and enables simulations to be run across various combinations of the underlying data. So let me outline how this happens. Running an integrated simulation for a project may be quickly undertaken through any of the underlying toolsets. An integrated simulation can also be run for a program by selecting the required projects. In all cases, running a simulation generates 3 reports: a histogram, tornado diagram, and a list of inputs. Running simulations and deriving reports may be undertaken by any authorized user, so it is very important to keep data current. To maintain data integrity, only project managers can change data for their project. So running integrated simulations is straightforward. The big value is in what the reports can do to improve management and governance. The first of which are planning gate approvals. This may be best explained with the aid of a diagram. The project cycle has broad phases of planning and execution, which are normally broken down into further phases. Your descriptions may be different. What we know is that uncertainty is greatest at the beginning of a project and 0 at the end. Uncertainty may be depicted by a sloping line. During planning, many organisations have expected estimate accuracy ranges at various approval gates. The reality is that these orders of accuracy are an expectation, with few organisations having a system that demonstrates these tolerances have been achieved. Indeed, the process leans more towards wishful thinking than anything else. However, the fundamental driver to encourage a progressively more reliable estimate is clearly desirable. With the ability to run an integrated simulation across Risk Valuer and Estimate Manager, the goal of demonstrating improving confidence in the budget, together with the order of accuracy being achieved, can be readily demonstrated. This is where not only governance is strengthened, but is also the jump-off point for taking pressure off the project team and managing stakeholder expectations. Using our previous x-axis for the project timeline, we can use the y-axis to represent the estimate and subsequent forecast end cost. The x-axis can then be used to depict the baseline estimate. It is important to realise that once this baseline estimate is declared, it becomes the expectation of most managers that this will be the project's cost. They often see contingency as a buffer that will come back to the organisation. What happens, of course, is that the estimate of or forecast end costs keeps on increasing. Managers see their buffer being eroded and become progressively unhappy with how the project is travelling. This is fundamentally because the baseline estimate was unachievable from the outset. In short, the project was set up to fail. However, today we can avoid such failures and manage expectations much better. A far more realistic value for the project is the P50 amount. This is the expected cost. The final result will generally be within a bandwidth of, say, P40 to P60, so P50 is the number we should keep referring to. Setting realistic expectations now will save considerable stress later. We can also demonstrate how confidence in the estimate is improving using the P90 value. As planning proceeds and more knowledge and detail about the project is acquired, the P90 value will decrease. The reducing difference between P90 and P50 is effectively a measure of improving confidence. This percentage will depend on the gate and will be different between organisations and project types. Until some historical data is developed by an organisation, the accuracy percentages shown in the previous slide would be a good start point. This slide is core to getting all stakeholders aboard during planning and aligned with the anticipated cost of the project. There will be times when the executive do not like the P50 value. The beauty of this system is that all input values can be seen. If an executive wants to change some of the numbers, then that is their prerogative. But it should be clearly noted why the changes have been made. It is also incumbent on the project manager to ensure that input data for risk value and estimate manager are thoroughly workshopped. This develops ownership and improves data quality. Most importantly of all, it reduces the stress on the project team, and we can all do with a bit of that. So much for planning. The execution phase is no less important when it comes to governance. As a project moves into the execution phase, risks will either fall away or eventuate and become issues. Hence the risk probability moves respectively to 0 or 100%. With the latter, the actual cost incurred can be entered. Similarly with estimates, once work is completed, all three values of best, most likely and worst case of the quantities will be the same. This applies equally to rates. Removing the variability reduces the amount of contingency required. Keeping the data up to date is key, and then when reporting the monthly forecast end cost, it will be simply a case of running a simulation. Integration also provides a KPI that encourages proactive management of both risks and uncertain costs. Running a simulation across all three toolsets for a project provides a current P50 value. Here's an example. The listing report, because they have different types of data, have separate reports. Keeping data current is the responsibility of the PM. The P50 provides the anticipated forecast end cost for a project. If month on month this varies by, say, less than 2%, then it is safe to assume the project team are on top of risks, estimates and issues. Proactive management is occurring. If month on month there is a step change, then this would be a surprise and probably means management is not proactive, or put bluntly, management is reactive. No variation from month to month would also be unusual. This KPI can drive proactive management of the three areas of cost uncertainty and risk management. Importantly, the KPI results are all in the hands of the project manager. They have control over its management and hence their own destiny. The final aspect to cover is program management. Any group of projects may be selected. The P50 shows the forecast end cost of the program of projects. This is a very helpful input to keeping the anticipated capital and or loan requirements current. The benefits of integration will depend on a user's role. Here are some headlines. More benefits have been provided throughout this playbook. However, making your personal assessment is what matters, and page 8 of this playbook includes a link to a sheet that you can print off, complete, and make your own value assessment. Providing a copy to other stakeholders so they can make their own assessment can help in gaining support to improving the management of cost uncertainty. And that completes stage 5. If you conclude that enhancing governance was not just illuminating, but would add value to you and your business, then what next needs to be considered. Page 8 also includes 2 alternative ways forward. You're also welcome to contact us if you would prefer a tailored solution. I look forward to hearing how your budgets and actual costs align in the future.